Winter, 1883. Wyoming frontier. Wintry hillside sunset. Wind screams over the snow-lashed ridges of Wyoming. The sky burns a dying orange as the sun sinks behind the mountains. A lone figure trudges through the white, rifle slung over shoulder, hat rim frozen stiff with rime. They say ghosts walk this land. But Jonah McCready wasn't dead, just everything inside him was. Jonah McCready, 50s, lean and weathered like a rail fence, marches against the bitter wind. His hands are wrapped in torn wool. His beard is gray and wild. His eyes hollow. 12 winters had passed since the fire took his wife and daughter. Since then no one spoke to Jonah, and Jonah liked it that way. Log cabin night. The wind groans through the cracks in the cabin walls. Pelts nailed to the windows keep out the worst of it. Inside, Jonah lights a lantern, revealing a Spartan room. Stacked firewood, rusted pots, worn Bible. He sits before the hearth, a tin cup in hand. His rifle leans by the door, always ready. Above the fire, nailed crookedly on a wooden beam, is a black and white photograph. A woman, a girl, and a man who once smiled. He stares at it. Jonah, quietly, to no one. Another day down, Beth, Ellie. He opens a worn book, Pilgrim's Progress, and begins to read aloud. Jonah, reading slowly, then said Christian, I seek a place that can never be destroyed. The words echo into the silence. There's no one to hear. Woods, next morning. Jonah chops wood near the edge of a pine grove. The axe bites deep. Each swing echoes like gunfire in the still cold. Crunch. He freezes. Something snapped a twig. Then, a cough. A whimper. Jonah grabs his rifle and pivots silently, moving through the trees with the instincts of a mountain lion. In a shallow ditch, half buried in snow, lies a wrecked wagon. The mule is dead, frozen stiff, and beside it, 2 girls. The older, maybe 10, cradles a younger one in her arms. Their dresses are torn. Their feet are bare. Blue lips, hollow cheeks, eyes wide with terror. Jonah lowers the rifle slowly. Jonah, what in God's name? The older girl doesn't move, doesn't speak, just stares at him. Cabin that night. Jonah hauls both girls into his home, one wrapped in a blanket, the other clinging to a cracked wooden doll. He lays them near the fire, lighting extra logs. They flinch as he approaches with water. Jonah, grumbling to himself, damn fool thing I'm doing. Ain't got room, ain't got food. He gently rubs their feet with snow to fight frostbite, applies old salve from a jar that smells like pine and misery. The older girl watches his every move. The younger, barely conscious, coughs weakly. Jonah sighs and stirs soup on the fire. He ladles it carefully and kneels beside them. Jonah gently, eat. Slow. It'll help. The older one accepts it. The little one doesn't move. Jonah doesn't sleep that night. Just sits beside the fire, watching the girls, and remembering. Cabin. 3 days later. The girls remain silent. They huddle together, share every bite of food Jonah gives them. He tries to ask questions. Jonah, where are you from? Got folks. What happened out there? No answer. But on the 4th morning, as dawn spills through the window, older girl softly, Sarah. Jonah looks up. She points to herself. Then the younger one, Sarah. Emmy. Jonah nods slowly. Jonah. All right then. Sarah and Emmy. It's the first time he's said children's names in 12 years. Wreck site day. Jonah returns to the place he found them. The wagon is half buried now. He rifles through the debris and frozen corpses nearby. 2 women face down in the snow. No men. No driver. He finds a charred journal soaked in snow. Only a few pages legible. Scrawled lines. Cheyenne by winter. 10 girls total. God protect them. Further down, a bloodstained bonnet. child-sized. Then, a half-burned wanted poster pinned under ice. Brenton Hawk, wanted for murder, trafficking, and child slavery. A circle of blood around the face. Someone had marked him. Jonah stands still. Storm clouds brewing. Cabin that night. Snow falls heavy. The wind is louder. A blizzard coming. Jonah boards up the walls tighter. Lights every lantern he has. He sets traps outside. Old habits. He watches the girls sleep. Sarah holds Emmy tight. Jonah's stomach growls. He opens the pantry. Almost bare. One slab of salted pork. Some oats. Beans. It won't last long. Montage. Survival in the wilderness. Jonah traps a snow hare with a wire snare. Shoots a wild turkey from a tree. Skins a rabbit. Hangs it to dry. Builds a stronger fire. Reinforces the roof. Battles exhaustion to keep the girls warm and fed. One night, Jonah returns bloodied. A deep scratch across his shoulder. He'd fought off a cougar near the stream. He winces as Sarah silently wipes the blood from his back with a damp cloth. No words, just presence. Cabin night. The wind howls. A wolf howls back. Jonah sits in the rocking chair, nodding off. A blanket is gently draped over his chest. He opens one eye, sees Sarah and Emmy standing there watching him. They don't say a word, but Jonah breathes out slowly, like his heart has remembered something it forgot. A touch, a kindness, family. That winter, two quiet girls said nothing, but in their silence, they began to thaw a man who had long since frozen over. Forest clearing, early spring day. The snow is melting, leaving patches of brown earth and wet pine needles. Streams babble to life. Life creeps back into the wilderness. Jonah MCCREDY kneels beside a snare trap, hands moving with the practiced quiet of a man who's survived more winters than he's wanted to. Beside him, Sarah, now wearing Jonah's old coat cut to size, watches intently. Jonah sets the loop, points. Jonah, softly, rabbit'll step there. The loop'll snap here. Clean catch, if you're patient. Sarah nods, but doesn't speak. Her hands mimic his. Behind them, Niamamai sits by a stream, knees tucked in, softly humming something tuneless but sweet. It's the first sound she's made since they arrived. Jonah turns and listens. Jonah, to himself, barely audible. A song's a start. Cabin night. Rain taps on the roof. The fire crackles. Jonah sits on the edge of his bedroll, cleaning a rifle. He notices something sticking out of Sarah's coat, a piece of paper she's been clutching like a charm. He gently pulls it free. It's a train ticket, wrinkled and faded, stamped across the top. Property of Mrs. Thistle Hawk. Group of 8 orphans. Final destination, Cheyenne. Jonah freezes. His thumb brushes over the ink. Suddenly, we plunge into a flashback vision. Sarah's memory. Night. A train on fire. Girls screaming. Masked men with torches laughing, dragging girls from rail cars. Sarah clutches Yemamai, bolts into the woods. Gunfire echoes. A man yells, "Take the papers. Burn it all." A chilling voice lingers. No witnesses. Back to scene int. Cabin. Jonah breathes hard. His hands are shaking. He stares into the fire. Jonah mutters, "You were cargo, meant to disappear." He stares at the rifle beside him, the weapon he swore he'd never raise again. Then he looks at the girls, sleeping in the same bed now, wrapped in furs, trusting him with their lives. His eyes go cold. Saloon, Black Rock Town night. Cigar smoke curls through oil lamp light. Men gamble, women drink. In the back booth, Brenton Hawk leans over a table littered with maps, ledgers, and photographs. Early 40s, handsome in a polished, predatory way. His boots are polished. His conscience isn't. Across from him, a bounty hunter lays out a photo of Jonah's cabin. Bounty man, got 2 of 'em slipped out in that wreck. Girl called Sarah. And a mute. We think they're holed up with a hermit near Blackbark Ridge. Hawk sips whiskey, expression smooth as glass. Hawk. Find them. No courts. No names. No one left to testify. He slides a silver coin across the table. Hawk. Suentide. Loose ends make poor business. Cabin day. Jonah carries firewood to the shed. A twig snaps. He freezes. A gunshot cracks through the trees. Bark explodes near his head. Jonah. Girls. Cellar. Now. He drops the wood. Grabs his rifle from the porch. Cellar. Moments later. The girls crouch in the corner. Sarah clutches Emmy. Jonah opens the trapdoor. Lowers them down. Jonah. You don't come out. Till I say. Understand. They nod. Woods. Moments later. Jonah melts into the forest like a shadow. He follows the trail of the gunshot. In a clearing, a bounty man peers around trees, pistol raised. Jonah steps out behind him. Jonah, looking for someone. The man spins. Jonah tackles him. They roll in the mud, punch for punch, breath hot and ragged. Jonah slams the man's head against a rock. Blood. Then silence. Jonah, panting. Why you after little girls? The man spits blood, grins. Bounty man. They ain't girls. They're evidence. Jonah's face darkens. Bounty man, Suentide. You can't protect him. He's got lawmen and killers on payroll. Hawk don't leave loose ends. Jonah's hand tightens on the hilt of his knife. There's no hesitation. Cabin night. Jonah stares into the fire, haunted. He lays the bloodied knife on the table. The girls sit across from him, silent. Jonah opens a drawer, pulls out an old revolver, slides it across to Sarah. Jonah, you ever shot one? She shakes her head. Jonah, Suentide, you're gonna learn. Because next time they won't miss. Sarah looks terrified, but she picks up the weapon. Her hands tremble. Jonah kneels beside her. Jonah, Suentide, you aim. You breathe. You don't pull the trigger unless you mean to end it. She nods. Slowly, Emmy clutches a carved wooden bear Jonah made for her. And then, Emmy speaks. Yemamai. Whispers. Don't let them take her. Jonah turns eyes wide. It's her first words. His voice cracks. Jonah, ain't nobody taking either of you. Not while I got breath in my lungs. Montage. The fortification. Jonah digging pit traps around the property. Sarah practicing with the rifle, nailing cans on posts. Emmy drawing a map in the dirt. The ridge, the cabin, escape routes. Jonah sharpening knives, tying tripwire bells to trees. Jonah sewing coats from old pelts for the girls. Emmy carving 3 wooden figures. One like herself, one like Sarah, and one with a scarred face. She tosses the third into the fire. It burns. Ridge above the cabin, night. Jonah stands alone in the cold. His breath puffs in clouds. In the distance, torches flicker. 5, maybe 6 men. They're coming. Cabin night. The girls sleep, Sarah holding the revolver close. Jonah sits at the window watching, waiting. The firelight flickers across his face, haunted, hard, ready. Jonah McCready had buried a wife, a daughter, and all the hope he'd once carried. But 2 silent girls had pulled something out of him he thought was long dead. Something worth killing for. Something worth dying for. Blackbark Ridge, night. Snow crunches underfoot as Jonah McCready leads Sarah and Emmy up a narrow, pine-lined trail. The wind howls like old ghosts through the trees. The stars overhead are sharp as knives. He stops at a ridge, and there, hidden by brush and time, is a weathered lookout cabin, built with his daughter 12 winters ago. Flashback, int. Cabin years ago. Laughter. A girl, 10 years old, hammering crooked nails into the wall. Someday this will be our hideout, Papa. A memory so vivid, it cuts. Back to present. Jonah's eyes mist. He unlocks the creaking door and guides the girls inside. Int. Lookout cabin night. Jonah lights a lantern. Dust floats like spirits. The place is bare but sturdy. He opens a crate. Old ammo, dynamite, bear traps. Everything he once buried with his grief. He kneels before Sarah, now hardened by cold and loss. Jonah, softly, "You're not what happened to you. You're what you survive." Sarah nods, clutching the rifle he taught her to load. Emmy wraps her arms around Jonah's waist, a gesture of complete trust. He freezes for a moment, then places his hand on her head. Valley below, sunrise. Fog creeps across the snow. Then, hoofbeats. Brenton Hawk and 5 armed riders appear, dark as shadows. One holds a silver locket in his gloved hand. Jonah spots it through his spyglass. His blood freezes. It was his wife's. This wasn't just about the girls. They were the same devils who torched his family. Cabin, just before dawn. Jonah arms Sarah, tells Emmy to hide in the root cellar. He kisses her forehead like a father might. Outside, he scatters nails, sets tripwires, and lights a trail of oil stretching downhill. Ridge, first shots fire. Gunfire breaks the stillness. Jonah opens from a sniper hole. One rider falls, tumbling into a pit trap. Boom! Another man hits a tripwire, erupting in fire and screaming. But the others push forward, ruthless and wild. Intense shootout sequence. Jonah and Sarah fight side by side. She's crying, shivering, but fires anyway. One man bursts through the door. Sarah screams. Boom! The rifle kicks back. He falls. She drops the gun. Stares. Her hands tremble. Jonah grabs her. Nods firmly. Jonah, you did what you had to. EXT. Barn behind the cabin. Final confrontation. Hawk enters alone, knifed, bloodied, but grinning. Hawk, you're a stubborn bastard, McCready. They brawl, fists, kicks, slammed against walls. Jonah is stabbed in the ribs, but doesn't stop. His rage is volcanic. He grabs a blacksmith's hammer from the cabin wall and slams it into Hawk's face. Once, twice. Bone cracks. Hawk falls, lifeless. EXT. Snow outside cabin dawn. Jonah staggers into the snow. Blood pours from his side. He falls to his knees. The girls rush to him. Sarah grabs his face. Sarah, through sobs. Don't die. Please. Jonah tries to smile, blood on his teeth. Jonah, I ain't leavin'. Not yet. He collapses. Montage. Months later. Sarah and Emmy in clean dresses at a small schoolhouse in a peaceful frontier town. Jonah, scarred and limping, watches from behind the fence. A teacher turns to him. Teacher, are they yours? Jonah, shaking his head, but smiling. They're not mine, but I'm theirs. He'd buried everything that once made him a man until 2 silent girls gave him reason to live again. If this story moved you, if you believe even the loneliest souls can find redemption, then hit that like button, share this story, and let others know that hope can bloom even in the darkest winters. Jonah McCready was just a ghost on Blackbark Ridge, until 2 orphaned girls gave him a reason to fight, to love, and to live. And we want to hear from you. Have you ever been saved by someone you never expected? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of survival, redemption, and the unexpected kindness that changes lives.